Hey, Monts Family Homestead, what's up? Cameron here. It's been a while since I've been on here. It is currently 1:45 in the morning, and I am at work, and there's nothing going on, and I figured, well, why not make a video and just show everybody what's inside an ambulance? So, stick around, I'll show you. Alright, so if you ever wondered what's inside an ambulance, it really depends, what brand you have and what chassis it's on, all that kind of stuff. But where I work, we use Ford chassis, and the box that we use, we have a variety of different boxes. So, it's set up a little bit different, but they try to set them up the same just in case we have to swap out into a different truck. Everybody knows where everything is. But like I said, we use Ford chassis, and let's see you guys around here. That's kind of what the driver's area looks like. Just typical inside a van. This here is our light control area. This is our main emergency master switch. This turns on everything. This one is flipped up right now into primary. We can turn it down into secondary if we're going to be on scene for a long time, just so we're not blinding everybody. This one here is our siren button. Our sirens are actually hooked up to the horn. That way we don't have to come down here and mess with the siren. We can just pop the horn and it changes the siren tone. We can cut that off if we want to come down here and play with this. Personally, I like playing with this better than hitting the horn, because I can actually choose my tone whenever I want it instead of having to flip through all of them. But everybody has their own way about doing it. Over here, this is the master switch for the power. I said we weren't doing anything, and now the radio's going to go crazy. This is our master switch for our power in the back. This is our rear dome light, which I have them flipped on right now. We have floodlights on each side and the back of the truck. Whenever we're on scene, we can flip those on if we need extra light. And then finally over there at the very end, we have a backup alarm. We can cut that off if we need to, which we try not to do that, because that's a safety feature that needs to stay on. But again, this is our siren box. We've got a PA out front we can use. We've got manual modes over here, and we have 3 different siren settings. Personally, my favorite is all the way over here, which is broke off, but it says the name for it is T3, but it's actually, I've heard it called Party, I've heard it called a couple of different other things, but that one's definitely my favorite. Coming down here, we have, most trucks have 2 different radios. Some of them have 3, but for the most part we just have 2, because this one here, the ambulance service that I work for, we cover 3 different main counties, and we have a few other counties as well that we may have to go out to, but 2 of the 3 counties are in this radio, and then the main county is in this radio. And so we use the main radio obviously for the majority of our calls. And so now we will hop back in the back. I'll cut those lights on back there in the back, but I'll cut them on dim, that way we're not being blinded. And for those of you that may not know, the red light up there, the reason we run those, and I've heard a few different people kind of give their opinions. Some people think it's because it makes it hard to see in and tell what you're doing, which is true. But for the most part, the reason we run these red dome lights inside, and police use them too, and some fire departments use them, And the reason why is when you're on night shift, the red light actually slows the dilation of your pupil. So that way, if you're needing to just write something down real quick and then hop out into the darkness, you're not going to be totally blind, because like I said, it slows down the dilation of your pupil. So that way, essentially you keep your night vision. So let's hop on in the back and I'll show you what all's back there. Alright, so we've made it back to the back here, and hopefully there's enough light where you can see everything. Just trying to play with the lights to get it to work right, and it's too bright and it's kind of flooding everything out. So that top cabinet up there, that one up there has all of our IV fluids, drip sets, which is the line that comes off the IV fluid. Most people have seen, an IV setup where, you see the little bubble and you see the drips dripping in. That's what's in that top cabinet there. That cabinet there, the bottom one, is where we keep all of our IV needles, keep cleaning pads, we keep the rubber tourniquet, which we tie on your arm to get your veins to pop out a little bit. Not the real tourniquet like you see on TV that they start wrapping around people for the most minor things. But we have our saline flushes in there, which is what we use after we stick you with an IV to clean the blood out of the needle and get it ready for medicine. Here we have the famous stretcher, which is quite comfortable whenever you're really tired and it's 4 o'clock in the morning and nothing's going on. I may or may not know that from experience, I will not say. Got one oxygen bottle at the head of the stretcher, and typically we try to keep 3 full bottles on the truck, as well as 1 large oxygen tank that's actually in one of the outside compartments, which I'll show you guys in another video where I'll go over all the outside compartments. But it's a lot larger. We can run off of it a lot longer than we can those bottles. Over here we have more radios and more switches. Most of the switches control lights and the AC back here, and then another one controls that right there, which is, we call it suction, but the switch says vacuum pump, which, if we have a really bad patient who's throwing up or they have blood in their mouth or something like that, we hit the switch and it suctions all of that out of their mouth to open up their airways so they can breathe again, obviously. That's one of our oxygen hookups for the large tank. In that cabinet right there is really an assortment of stuff. That's where we keep our 2 extra oxygen bottles. We have a spare battery, which is that green light that you see. It's a battery for the stretcher. We have our bag valve mask, or BVM, which assists with breathing in CPR situations. And we have our portable suction, which is basically the same thing as that right there, except it's portable. And obviously that's the paramedic chair where they sit and do paperwork. We have the bench here where if we have multiple patients, we can sit people here. And the seat that I'm sitting in, which you'll see in just a minute, is actually called the Cpr seat because it's right by the stretcher. So I'll go ahead and show you guys that. Alright, so that's where I was sitting just a second ago. That's known as the Cpr seat, just because of where it's located. I mean, you're right there to where you can do chest compressions if need be. Right next to that is our cardiac monitor, which, depending on what's going on, if it's a simple call, we'll hook up, we call it a 3-lead, which just gives us basic information. Then we hook you up to an O2 sensor, which just tells us, your oxygen saturation. And then it also has a blood pressure cuff, and it takes blood pressure. And then we also if we're having somebody that's having chest pains, or if they're having some kind of heart issue, we have more leads in there, and we call that a 12 lead. Which, if you've ever had any kind of heart work done, or if they've ever looked at your heart, you've had a 12 lead, which is really just a bunch of stickers that stick on you and a bunch of wires that come off of you that tell us what your heart's doing. Simple enough. That little cabinet right there has a bunch of towels and blankets in it if we need extras. That one's just kind of a catch-all. Up here we have band-aids and 4x4s and gauze and just all the different assortments of stuff. And right over there, that's where we keep all of our airway stuff. Notice it is right by the paramedic's chair. That's where we keep our nasal cannulas, our non-rebreathers, which is the little mask that the oxygen hooks up to. And we keep all our pediatric stuff up there. And that's pretty much it for that cabinet. And that's pretty much it. Other than that right there, that's our sharps container. It's biohazard. We have to empty it out every so often and get rid of it. That way nobody gets sick or stuck or anything like that. So that pretty much wraps up the inside of the ambulance. If you guys like that, hit that like button. If you're not subscribed, we'd really appreciate it if you would. And guys, stick around. We got plenty more content to come. Thanks for watching.